Hello, YouTube. Welcome back. Part 5 of Mason Lane World Champion World Shoot Analysis Review. That's a mouthful. Mason's been putting up these great videos talking about the World Shoot, talking about how he was feeling, what he was dealing with, mistakes he made, strategy, breaking it all down for us. I think it's been pretty incredible, so I really enjoyed watching them. If you've enjoyed the reaction to them, give the channel a follow, give the video a like. And we're going to get into day 5. I don't know where Mason is yet. I haven't watched any part of this, so I don't know like if he's ahead going into day 5 or what. I think he'll probably mention something about it here when we start the video. But he ends this day ahead, right? Because he won the world shoot, won the world championship. So let's get into it. See what's going on. This is an interesting one from the start on. It's a unloaded start. Mags on belt, gun is up there at the table. These are difficult starts because you gotta like drop a foot, or this is something you really gotta mess with. You gotta mess with this start because it can be really laggy. You can be really slow to try to get momentum out of this start position when your feet are really close together and you're standing up straight and you have to lunge forward. It's like, how do you get that momentum built? Do you do a drop step? Do you put your weight on your toes and then pick up a foot and try to fall forward? Let's see what Mason did.
It is the final day. So coming into the last day, I had a 9-point lead. I opened that up by about 5 points from the day prior. So 10-point lead, give or take. Again, I'm not looking at that like that's a lead whatsoever.
That's pretty crazy for there to only be a 4 point swing from day 4 to day 5. I am curious if that, if they like swung back and forth. Though, Mason didn't have any crazy swings on day 4. We just watched it. He didn't have any penalties or big mistakes, so he shot very consistent. So the only thing we could look at is if his competitors were, swinging for the fences and hooked up and then screwed up and rebalanced and brought it back in. We don't really know. But to only separate by 4 points after a day of shooting is pretty crazy.
It's only a lead that small if the match is over. And I'm not going to relax the strategy or try to be careful or defend that. That is not a viable strategy. It's critical that I stay on the gears and try to open that gap up to be much larger. So throughout the course of the day, shoot okay. Not the best day of shooting. Certainly not as good as the 2 days prior. But ultimately shoot good enough to win. And we'll talk about some of the ways I made that happen right now. So this first stage, you start with a gun on the table unloaded. Basically, I have to work this whole stage right to left. So I'm going to shoot right to left on these 2 targets, come up and basically work my way around this swinger sequence. It's a relatively medium pace swinger at very close range. So I double pump that one and then finish on the right. It's kind of sensitive how you hit this position. Where your knee goes down affects your ability to transition seamlessly into the window and your ability to keep this wall out of your way in the final position. You'll see what I mean in a second.
Are you ready?
Yep.
I wish we had third person because he said knee go down. I wonder if he took a knee right here.
Stand by.
Load.
Now finish unload.
Man, that looked clean.
Not bad at all. Pretty solid way to start.
Yeah.
Throughout the course of this day, I was very critical over every small mistake, which led to me thinking I was down much farther than I was. You'll see what I mean by that in a few different places as we go forward. Here's a
Yeah, so just a real quick look at this other one. So mistakes that I made on this one after seeing Mason shoot it. I came in on steel. The logic there was I'll shoot the steel. If I miss the steel, I can shoot the paper and I come back and hit the steel, right? It's kind of like planning to fail. But that's what I did. And then he came up right into this target. Now, man, I thought that looked really clean. When he just came here, steel, straight to here, boom, 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 boom. It looked really good. I had to load at some point, so I did end up shooting steel, paper, loading, and then going outside and coming back in. That was probably slower. Let's just accept that that was slower because this was a great run. Whatever he did. I mean, he just boom, boom, just right across. That looked great. Let's watch him shoot it.
load.
Did you hear that? That can really help. That was yeah, I felt that, man. I felt that. I felt that.
Fight!
Load.
You are finished. Unload.
Not bad at all.
No, that was epic.
A pretty solid way to start. Throughout the course of this day, I was very critical over every small mistake, which led to me thinking I was down much farther than I was. You'll see what I mean by that in a few different places as we go forward. Here's attempt number 1 at this stage. We'll just play it.
Attempt 1. Is that a reshoot or something?
So the short story basically
It's a crazy
is that,
lean.
you could have taken this plate here from the back to the left of the position where I started. You can see basically as I engage this, I lean around this wall, take this really deep lean and engage this target. But you can also see right here that I nicked this wall, and it's a full diameter hit on that wall, which means it's a mandatory reshoot. So we'll skip to that video. This is attempt number 2.
There we
I
go.
changed my strategy a little bit. I saw Nils shoot a different order in these first 2 targets right before my first run, but I did not want to change my plan at the last second and for not a real advantage. So I start on this target instead, the slightly slower target that's buried out deep so that I can roll my weight out on the low guy. See that here? You see I have momentum much faster right there. Into this section. Much more confident execution on that. You see that I can still see the hit on this steel from where I dinged the hard cover on the first attempt. And now I'm looking to get my foot basically right exactly on here with my heel on the ground, the ball of my foot up on the line. And that's going to enable me to get this lean and get at that last target more effectively. Trying to hit specifically the left side of this plate right here, like I'm aiming at the left half of the plate, knowing that, you know, I hit the wall the first time and I really don't want to reshoot it twice. So the first shot goes out a little wide, the second shot connects, and that's that.
Comment on this right here. This thing that he was talking about at the beginning, where Nils shot it this way, and he was like, "Man, that looked better." To me, this is like top tier. I don't know. This is my opinion. This is like top tier GM level struggles. There's like, this is the type of thing that you're trying to tweak all the time. Like every array of targets, you're like, there's like this constant inner struggle of like how you're going to engage them. Sometimes it's very simple. It's just like right to left, left to right. But something like this, like I would have wrestled with this maybe for a while, right? Been like, but the fact that he got to see Nils do it and was like, yeah, for sure, that's confirmation. I'm going to do it that way. But I could definitely see myself struggling, just wrestling with the idea. Am I going to shoot this and shoot this and move out? Or am I going to shoot this and then I'm going to roll out on this close one? And like kind of doing like a couple of dry passes to figure out what to do there.
You see I have momentum much faster right there. Into this section. Much more confident execution on that. You see that I can still see the hit on this steel from where I dinged the hard cover on the first.
Yeah, and if you're not aware, this is like a pretty standard double pass strategy to hit it, aim two good aim shots, but then to throw a third on the second pass, you know, just for good measure kind of deal. So you hit it one good aimed, and the second one is a good aimed, and then you just follow it with another one, you know, just for good measure.
On here with my heel on the ground, the ball of my foot up on the line, and that's going to enable me to get this lean and get at that last target more effectively. Trying to hit specifically the left side of this plate right here, like I'm aiming at the left half of the plate, knowing that, you know, I hit the wall the first time and I really don't want to reshoot it twice. So the first shot goes out a little wide, the second shot connects, and that's that. Very good performance on the whole. Another solid stage.
That was a tough lean. I didn't do it. I'm not good at leans, at hard lean shots, so I purposefully avoided it. But I mean, that was a tough lean. It definitely helped to be, you know, 6'2" or taller, which I think makes it is 6'4". So
This is the big field course for the day, and there are definitely some issues here. We'll talk about those.
Ready? Stand by.
I handle this a little bit differently than some people. I like that if I do a wide transition off of here and stay pretty close to this back line, I can see this target right off the jump with like covering maybe one more step. A lot of people chose to reload basically off of this target and cover distance to get to about here and then push forward on this one target. I thought this seemed more efficient and I liked it better. It also afforded me more room to get a reload done right here. Not that that ultimately helps me.
I really like that. I thought that this. What were his words? I thought this seemed better, and
To reload
I liked it.
basically off of this target and cover distance to get to about here and then push forward on this one target. I thought this seemed more efficient and I liked it better.
It seemed more efficient, and I liked it better. So that's what I did. And that's what you should do.
It also afforded me more room to get a reload done right here. Not that that ultimately helps me, because that reload was pretty bad.
Yeah. Tough shot.
So with that dropped reload and the extra shot there, I'm estimating roughly 3/4 of a second down. I think I had a few more Charlies than I would have liked to, something up around a half a dozen or so. So I estimated at this stage probably cost me a maximum of 10 points. I'm thinking at this point in the match that puts me tied for the lead, which I think at the time was roughly correct. But there's still 3 more stages left to shoot, so let's skip to those. This is a pretty fast-paced stage. You'll see what I mean. Basically 2.5 positions with a medium amount of shooting. You know,
I am curious how he came up with 3/4 of a second for an extra shot and a dropped load. Like, I would have estimated more than that. And I would lean towards him being more correct, but I am curious how he arrives at 3/4 of a second from a botched load and a makeup shot.
reload done right here. Not that that ultimately helps me.
Because that seemed like a full second to me right there. Just that.
The reload was pretty bad.
He also didn't like that transition right off that steal. Right there. Did you see it? Off the steal.
So with that dropped reload and the extra shot there, I'm estimating roughly 3/4 of a second down. I think I had a few more Charlies than I would have liked to, something up around a half a dozen or so. So I estimated
Holy
at this
shit.
stage probably cost me a maximum of 10 points. I'm thinking at this point in the match that puts me tied for the lead, which I think at the time was roughly
So he's thinking he gave up the whole lead right there and like tied it back out.
correct. But there's still 3 more stages left to shoot, so let's skip to those. This is a pretty fast-paced stage. You'll see what I mean. Basically 2.5 positions with a medium amount of shooting. You know, in layman's terms, I knew this was going to be a pretty high hit factor stage. So you see me handle these first 2 partials with sort of the bare minimum amount of care, and then I'm flat out on the gas through the whole rest of the stage.
Yes.
Ready? Stand by.
Reload into here, and here's the biggest
Whoa.
issue of the stage. Basically, it's critical on higher hit factor stage. Like we always talk about, the time is a bit more important than the points. So extras on steal and problems that lead you waiting for things are kind of the worst case scenario. And you see it at the beginning here. I hit the house on the plate and not the plate itself.
He broke that super early too.
So I go to the swinger and it's not there. Basically have to double pump, re-engage that plate. And sort of on the fly change my plan to try to get this target done before, and it doesn't quite work out, so that cost me a bit of time. My initial plan was basically to go plate, 1, 2 on the swinger, 3, 4, 5. After that, I shoot this section right to left instead, and then finish on the right. Very aggressive engagement there. Way more aggressive than most of the other shooters. I was able to scrub off a little bit of that miss on the plate.
Yeah.
by shooting very aggressively. This still had very good clean points. And again, this
Impressive.
was a good, not great performance. But again, I'm looking at this worst case scenario. I'm trying to run my own math. I'm thinking I just lost enough to maybe another potentially 5 to 10 points. What I did not know is on this stage, my closest competitor had a no-shoot hit on one of these partials. I don't know which one. And they played it off very well. They did not tip the hand that happened whatsoever. So I didn't know that I had been given
It didn't make a deal of it, huh?
about 20 points at this point. So I was a little bit being a negative Nancy in this section, thinking that things were much worse than they were. This is a single hand shooting stage.
Hold on, I really want to watch him. I mean, the straight disrespect to these partials, to really all these targets on this stage, is yeah. He rips them. Where's the beginning here? I want to see it again. Here we go.
And boy.
Reload into here, and here's the biggest issue of the stage.
And then he breaks this shot really early.
Kind of the worst case scenario. And you see it at the beginning
I
here. I hit the house on the plate and not the plate itself. And sort of on the fly changing my plan to try to get this target done before, and it doesn't quite work out, so that cost me a bit of
So he was planning on going steel swinger here, over here. And instead he ended up going
time. My initial plan was basically to go plate, 1-2 on the swinger, 3-4-5.
yeah.
After that, I shoot this section right to left instead, and then finish on the right.
Right. Which is interesting, because initially he was planning to go steel swinger here, right? And so maybe that was the rush, that was the panic engagement per se. Maybe it wasn't panic, but I mean, he essentially completely changed that engagement order, even though nothing had changed other than he had to reshoot the steel, right? Because he was going to go steel swinger here, and then he missed it, except this time he went steel open swinger.
To left instead, and then finish on the right.
I don't know, that seemed awesome. I wonder why he didn't choose to do that first. I guess maybe he was going to be waiting for that swinger to like come up. Yeah, I don't know.
Very aggressive engagement there. On the
Let's
plate.
get to the next one. Next one. Here we go.
This is a single hand shooting stage again. I'm looking at this again, like just like the others. Like this is a survival stage. Just be precise in the positioning, hit the steel the first time, and that's really all you can do. This is not a place where I can make a pass by trying to do anything strategically. All I can do is get a consistent score and hope that someone else makes a mistake and gives me points. So this is a pretty unremarkable performance in terms of the strategy.
I do find it a little interesting that Mason has that approach to strong hand, weak hand stages when he's spent as much time as he has shooting strong hand. That he still kind of feels the way the rest of us do when it comes to one-handed shooting.
Decent overall. This part's really good. Got that hit really early.
Yeah.
Try to shoot my way in a bit here. I think I had one Charlie on this partial, and that was it for the stage. So that's a perfectly fine run, in my opinion. And this was the last stage of the match.
I don't feel like there's much to break down there. Let's watch it one more time, just cause.
There's the strategy. Decent overall.
Nice.
This part's really good.
Aggressive.
Got that hit really
Super early.
Try to shoot my way in a bit here. I think I had one Charlie on this partial, and that was it for the stage. So that's a perfectly fine run, in my opinion. And this was the last stage of the match.
Last stage of the match of the world shoot. Ooh.
Again, I'm under the impression that I'm down 10 to 15 points. I'm thinking that I need a good to great performance in order to have any chance of throwing pasta at the wall and making
Yeah, because remember, he doesn't know that his nearest competitor shot that no shoot on that stage.
a stick. I did not know that I was already up about 10 to 15 points, and this stage ends up
Because that will definitely change the way you shoot a last stage, right? So instead, he's under the impression he needs to go for it, which is honestly, I think, a much better place to be mentally than I got to defend my 10 points or whatever he was up.
being a pretty good performance. I shoot very, very aggressively with taking all the movement options possible. And even though I had really loose points, I believe I had 8 or 9 Charlie on this stage. It's a decently high hit factor stage. Those points don't affect me that much. And this ended up being a good performance that potted me a few more raw points to take home the match win.
So something interesting that he said there is that he took advantage of all the movement options. Sorry. We know from all the rest of these videos Mason has talked about that he likes to lean out and take big steps and do a bit more like leaning static type shooting than his competitors. But here he's going to go for it anyway, right? He knows he can do it. It's not his strength, but he is capable, right? He's capable of it. So it's not it's not the way for him to achieve the most consistent performance, which is what's most important for a long match like this. But it is a tool that he can call upon when he needs it. And right here, I'm guessing he's about to rip lips.
All of this unbeknownst to me at the time.
Stand by.
Long beep.
You're going to see I've learned my lesson by this point. Grab the gun overhand like we talked about. Over aim at this steel to make sure I connect with the surface of the plate and not the steel hut.
Nice.
And you see the look to Sky. I am not impressed with this at all. I am not happy in this moment. I know that I've dropped a lot of points. I'm under the impression I could have potentially given up as much as another 5 to 10 match points by my momentary estimation. Right after this happened, I got pulled away to go do drug testing. Apparently in IPSC, that's a thing that they always will test the champions for basically performance-enhancing drugs. I thought they had it all wrong. I was convinced. It took about an hour. And when I got back to hang out with my friends and see the scoreboard, I had won. And it was a little bit of an unbelievable moment for me.
Man,
Obviously, 13-year dream come true.
that's incredible.
And without necessarily a perfect performance. So I'm very happy still. I'm recording this in the beginning of November, and it still hasn't really worn off. Looking forward to taking a little bit of time and coming back and making it happen again. Whether or not I stay with irons or whether or not I switch to optics divisions remains to be seen. It's going to depend on how the scene looks internationally over the next couple of years before the next World Shoot. Definitely looking forward to messing around with dots and competing against some other top American shooters here in the short term. Thank you for watching, guys. If you enjoy these types of videos, like and subscribe and all that. If you want me to do video services like this for you,
Yes.
send me a YouTube link for what you want edited and sort of establish communications with me. We'll talk.
Anyway, that was incredible. I was definitely feeling it on that last stage when he was talking about it there. Yeah, the look to the sky and them pulling him away from drug testing, and he thought they had it wrong, and then he comes back only to be revealed to him that he had won. And I don't know, that's an incredible moment. So congrats to Mason on the World Championship. I'm sure you'll be repeating one way or another, one division or another. I'm sure there's going to be a repeat from Mason Lane. So you guys give Mason a follow. Those are great videos, especially from the World Shoot. Man, I'm so glad that he did that. So if you guys liked it, like us reviewing these, we're going to do more for sure. We got some other great videos from incredible shooters on YouTube that we're going to be reviewing, going over, just seeing what we can learn, right? Seeing what makes other competitors tick. And I think also from a competitor standpoint, if I go to compete against these guys, having analyzed it out loud here on YouTube, I think it somewhat gives me an edge, honestly. And other people may not see it that way, but I mean, it's like watching tape of your competitors, right? I mean, that's what it is. But really analyzing what are they good at, what are they not good at, and then you go up to compete against them, and you're like, well, I know they're gonna do this because this is what they're good at. This is their strength. So what am I gonna do in return? And I think it can be super helpful as a competitor. So watch the tapes, man, and hopefully I'll be getting some of mine up this next season. We'll see. But all right, everybody, thanks for watching. That concludes the review of Mason Lane World Shoot Analysis. That was fun. We're gonna do more. Peace.